I'm Kevin Pittman. I'm the forest supervisor at Clemmons Educational State Forest. We have about 826 acres here that we manage. And on this particular site, it's actually a stand of timber that we have that was represented by about 14 acres. And on this particular parcel, we were wanting to do something called a hazard reduction burn, which is basically reducing the fuels that's out here on this land so that if there was the case of a wildfire, there wouldn't be as many fuels available to contribute to that fire. If we did get a wildfire in, again, it would just be more difficult to to extinguish that fire. More intensity of the flames could do more harm to the plants and trees that are there. So by doing this hazard reduction burn, we've reduced that fuel load, and then it also allows it to be more manageable. If we were to have a fire come in later on, we can extinguish it more quickly. There are other kinds of fires that could be done. This one's generally done in the wintertime, but there's other burns that can be done, silvicultural burns that can actually promote certain species of trees or plants or even for wildlife. But this case was a hazard reduction burn specifically for being able to reduce those fuels. But looking at this area, this again was just burned 2 days ago, and there was a lot of forest litter, pine straw, mainly leaves as well. This composed more pine straw, but over in this side we have more of the hardwood litter, leaves and stuff like that. But you can see that that's just a lot of fuel that can contribute to a fire. Over time it will decompose and all, but it could build up. And so by burning that and reducing it, if we have a fire come through later on, it just won't do as much damage. And so that's what we have over here, and a lot of this fine fuel specifically have burned down. For this burn, we generally had 4 on hand. We had a truck that had a source of water. We had 2 other pieces of equipment, a tractor and all, that had a tank of water, a UTV and all with water. And we had to have a burn boss. Burn boss is someone who is trained to be able to know the parameters of the fire, to keep it under control. The resources, when they arrive, we size it up. We have to look at the weather. There's a plan that's drawn up. It begins with a map of the area, and this white line right here represents a part of the area. We're taking into consideration where natural barriers might be, whether it's streams or roads, or in this case we have trails. Also, what are some of the smoke sensitive areas that's around us, because that's one of the big considerations that we think of, is where is the smoke going to go. In this case, we had a housing development that was over towards the north a bit, and we also have another one down towards the southeast or southwest. So what areas are close by that we want to try and protect from the impacts of smoke? While we can't eliminate smoke altogether, we want to greatly reduce it. And so in deciding on where we're going to or how we're going to burn this, we think about where do we want the smoke to go, and eventually it'll lift and dissipate and have low impacts on people that surround the area. There's a number of factors that are involved, and that burn boss is going to be looking at those factors to see, is this a go or a no-go? And once we get here, we take additional weather samples and all, and look at everything. Is everything still falling in the parameters of that plan? If it looks good, then we call it in to the district. Others know district-wide, so that there's other resources that can be made ready if it is needed. It's kind of like there's backups to backups. And that's the difference between doing a prescribed burn versus, say, if it was a wildfire. Wildfire is not planned. It could be more intense. It could be much more difficult to control. By doing this here as a prescribed burn, it's planned, it's under controlled conditions. If something does go wrong, we have a backup consideration plan to be able to extinguish it and then visit another day. As you see, the fire is completed. We do have some lingering smokes and all that remain. They're small. It's just some fuels tend to hold on to some coals. They continue to put out a little bit of smoke. We'll be coming back in here to continue to put those out. I've been out several times to check on it, just to make sure nothing stirs back up. But you'll have some smokes that'll remain, so we'll be bringing out a tank of water, and we'll work on that just to try to cool it off and make sure it's completely extinguished. But all this right here is cold. We just have some coals that'll remain, and we'll continue. But you can look over the area, and there's no smoke.
out anywhere.
At Clemmons, each year we hope to be able to establish a burn at some point, somewhere on the forest. We have burn plans on file that we'll keep on file and refresh periodically, but having different burn plans for different areas, we hope to be able to capture some kind of wind or weather component that will allow us to be able to do that burn. Whereas we might be able to burn this on one wind, we may not be able to burn another section on a different wind. So our goal is each year to be able to accomplish a burn.